Welcome back to Insider Insights with the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta. Insider Insights is a series of short videos produced by the Community Foundation to convey key messages to tax, legal, and financial advisors working with clients across the Metro Atlanta region. We want to educate you. Therefore, you can be a better advocate for your clients in helping them realize their financial and charitable goals. Today, we're talking about our individually managed fund investment option with Vice President for Philanthropy, Tim Bresnahan. Tim, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So we got to start with the basics. What is the individually managed fund option?
Yes, so our individually managed fund option, or IMF program, as we like to call it, shorthand, is really an opportunity for a donor to recommend his or her own investment manager to manage the assets in a donor-advised fund. Now, of course, as the sponsoring charity, we maintain legal ownership and authority over the DAF, so we're working very closely with the donor and the wealth manager. But it is an opportunity for the donor to say, you know what, I have a very specific point of view on how I want my DAF assets to be invested, and I want to partner with my current advisor to make that happen.
Sometimes they may have a specific point of view on investments. Sometimes they might just really like the investment advisor.
That's right.
Would that be a reason enough to do this?
100%. And you know, that relationship is so important to what we do. We like to be part of a team of advisors. Sometimes that's us one-on-one with the donor, but often it's us working with the wealth manager, the estate planning attorney, the CPA, really to make sure that everybody has a seat at the table who needs to be there and helping the donor guide them on their journey. I think your question brings up an interesting point. You know, we don't have a minimum for an individually managed fund. However, for the fund fee, which is $5,000 a year, to match our published fee schedule, it needs to be at least $500,000. What's interesting is that more than a third of our IMF funds are below that $500,000 threshold. And I think it speaks to that affinity that many donors have, that trusted relationship where they have with their wealth advisor. They want to keep that and maintain it with their donor advised fund program.
They pay a little extra just to have that peace of mind that comes with knowing the person who's running those investments personally.
To be able to pick up the phone and call their person and say, hey, how's my DAF performing? They're willing to pay a little bit extra to have that, I'd say, sort of that high-touch white glove service.
So why does the Community Foundation offer this option? What's in it for us?
It really is to deepen the relationship with the donor and to deepen the relationship with the wealth advisor, because we know that team of advisor approach is really critical for many of our donors. And so while we have a wonderful investment option for our donor advised fund program, we know that for many donors, they want that connectivity to their current team. And it allows us to be an extension of the team and to support and promote the donor's own philanthropic goals, whatever those happen to be.
So for the advisor who's working or considering a portfolio of clients, many may or may not be philanthropic. Which philanthropic clients might be the best fit for this IMF investment option?
Sure. So certainly donors who have larger funds, you know, even though there's no minimum, we do tend to see them be above $500,000. Certainly those donors that have a concentration of appreciated assets, so think long-term capital gain, stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, particularly if there's a single stock concentration. So this is a very popular approach with corporate executives. They may have ownership of one stock that has gone gangbusters, and they want to leverage and diversify that stock, but they want to keep that relationship with their own wealth advisor. And so it's a way for them to move those shares into a donor advised fund account, for the wealth advisor to sell. They don't recognize any capital gain because it's within the donor advised fund itself, and then they can diversify from there. And so we see a mix. We see donors who are very sophisticated and have a strong point of view on their investments. We see donors who just really want to bring in that trusted advisor to have a seat at the table. And then some donors who are looking to do something a bit more, I'd say, niche or sophisticated. So for instance, if a donor really wants some sort of particular screen for their investments, and that can be achieved through publicly traded securities, we can work with the wealth advisor to make sure that that happens.
So really customizable approaches to mixes of assets and portfolios because of those personal relationships.
100%, and it may be really important that if the donor has a particular investment approach on their personal assets and they want to carry that over to their donor advised fund assets, this program is perfect for them to do that.
So for the investment advisor or wealth manager who's watching us right now thinking, I think I've got someone who's right for this, how do they get started and what does that look like?
Well, Josh, they call you. So, I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, but they do. You're our first point of contact. You have so many great relationships with wealth advisors, many other advisors, of course. I think you're a great place to start to call and learn more. We certainly have an individually managed fund program overview on our website. The first page of that overview tells sort of high level what they can expect. And then we go much deeper into what is our investment policy statement, what are the different asset allocations and approaches, what are the responsibilities of the donor, of the wealth advisor, of the community foundation. So that piece of collateral is a great one-stop shop for a lot of information. But if they do want to have a conversation, they should call you, the expert.
That's right. Contact me if you want more information about our individually managed fund option. And thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Insider Insights.